All right, race fans. Kansas Speedway gave us a weekend defined by breakthrough moments and big time execution. We saw three kinds of execution: bad, good, and ugly. Gio Ruggiero continues to his rise in the ARCA Menards series, but his sloppy execution raises questions about his evolving maturity as a driver. Taylor Gray makes a breakthrough statement in the NASCAR O'Reilly Series with his second career victory, showcasing his maturity, evolution in the series. And Tyler Reddick gets it done in the NASCAR Cup Series when it mattered most. Despite two overtime restarts, some pressure with low fuel in the closing laps, and outperforming his boss. But here's the bigger question. Are the days of raw speed waning in the spotlight of execution and strategy when it comes to controlling the race outcome? Tonight, we break it down in all three series, the biggest performances and the debates that could define the season. This is Hot Topic Sound Off with Kansas Speedway, the good, the bad, good, and ugly under the spotlight. Welcome, folks, to our show for tonight. And we're looking forward to seeing everybody.
Wow.
Welcome. This is Fan for Racing Radio, and I know All Sports All Day is here. He's given us his ratings for all three series.
All right. Can't wait.
Okay, I'll show it to you now. He says ARCA is a 7 out of 10, O'Reilly 8.5 out of 10, and the Cup Series a 5 out of 10. Okay, well, we're going to be talking about all three series, All Sports All Day, and I am going to put into the chat room actually our first segment, which is the ARCA Menards series, and the one that you gave what, a 7 out of 10? And so that you can follow along with the flow of the show so that you and anybody else who joins in.
Well, and that's why I actually already early this morning to afternoon, I was thinking about what his ratings might be. And I figured this week I might kind of be in line with what he is. I do wonder what the 0.5, where that equates from, but on the O'Reilly. But no, I think I'm pretty much lined up with him this week as far as those ratings, or at least have a good idea why they are as they are.
Okay, technical issues. Okay. Oh my, this came out in several different messages on the chat feature here. But just to kind of do an overview of it, first we're going to go over the race results and point standings. We'll talk about Gio Ruggiero, the race winner, and his victory breakdown. The big question, and be putting your thoughts together about this, about his path to victory. Badass execution? Well, he bumps Destiny Spurlock, her first race on an intermediate track, and she had an amazing save and still finished in 10th place. Did Ruggiero create his own caution without any accountability? We'll talk about both of those topics. Daniel Dye redemption. He finishes second. He also signed today, where the news came out, 4 cup races with Live Fast Motorsports. Jack Wood and Daniel Dye both could have won without the late incident. Wood finishes 18th after that incident. We'll talk about the female drivers. It could be a major milestone moment, a tough break for Isabella Robusto, and Cletus McFarland had some mechanical issues and put some oil on the track. We'll talk about the first timers versus the veterans and momentum heading into Talladega. We'll also talk about the big picture takeaway. So Gio had success at Daytona, overt aggression at Kansas, What happens at Talladega? Those are some questions we'll need to discuss here on our show here tonight. So, Jay, let's start with, I'm going to bring up the race results here on our page. And we've got Gio Ruggiero in first, Daniel Dye second, Jake Bowman, the points leader, in third, Gavin Bushell in fourth, Laney Bice, I should say, in fifth. Then it was Jason Kitzmiller, Jade Afedisian, Monty Tipton, and Thomas Annunziata with Destiny Spurlock in the top 10. We had 3 females in that top 10 group, and we'll talk about that here tonight. And then, do you want to go over the point standings, Jay?
All right. You want me to cover them right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Scooch over. Come on now.
We mentioned Jake Bowman in the lead. Yeah, Jake Bowman.
I think you already had it up on your post. I am having technical difficulties. The pages are all
well, let me go ahead and go over it. Jake Bowman leads by 12 points over Jason Kitzmiller in second. Ryan Vargas is in third place, minus 18 points. Gio Ruggiero is minus 20 points in fourth place, and Thomas Annunziata holds down that fifth place spot in 21st place. Michael Maples, Daniel Dye, Andy Jakowiak, Robbie Keneally, who had a rough day out at Kansas, and Takuma Koga rounds out your top 10 here. Takuma, if we go all the way down to 10th place, is 41 points out. Any quick thoughts without getting into the hot topics, Jay? Jay, can you hear me?
Sorry, I muted myself because I knew I was fussing at my computer here as it shut down my standings page there. I think we're starting to see what could be a really competitive ARCA Menards series this year. Again, in a couple of the past years, we've had 1 or 2 dominant drivers. We may still see that as the season progresses, but right now what I think is we see some tight competition. And I know it's an 18-point gap, that consistency we've talked about with Jake Bowman. That is why he's leading and had another great run here at Kansas, finishing in the 3rd position. But what I see is some of these other drivers getting just as consistent. So then it's a matter of how many points per race can they gain to close that gap?
Okay. Well, let's talk about our first hot topic on here. Gio Ruggiero gets the win. He scored the victory at Kansas, continuing the success of the number 18. But this win reinforces that team success. But it's the second race and second win. He also won at Daytona. He's only raced 2 out of the 3 races. Max Reeves raced this 3rd race, which was at Phoenix, and he finished 9th in that car. Ruggiero is now 4th in the point standings, in racing 2 of the 3 races. But here's the controversy. Thoughts about his path to victory. I say it was a bad execution. He spun Destiny Spurlock, who had an amazing save to finish in 10th place. And your question was, did he create his own caution without any accountability? Expound on that, Jay.
Well, so obviously, he brought out the caution. You mentioned it, running into Destiny Spurlock. Great recovery by her. I think she got more coverage on today's race shows than anybody because of the recovery you mentioned. Yeah, to me,
I think it was the Reese's move of the race.
I would hope. I didn't see who got voted, but that was certainly one of them that should have been and I would have voted for. But especially a talented driver like Gio Ruggiero, and I understand he probably had the best, fastest car, but that doesn't mean you can run over people to get back to the front when you get behind. I like him as a driver. I like the Joe Gibbs operation. We know they're a solid team, but sometimes you get beat, and I just felt like that was a over aggressive. And what really, I guess, bothered me was post race, he started to kind of say, yeah, there was an incident. Maybe she came down, I came up. But then you heard that, do what I got to do to win the race. And that's where I went back to, yeah, you're not taking any true accountability. That bothered me a little bit.
Yeah, All Sports All Day says, I think he was just driving hard and thought he was going to move. She was going to move. His fault, but I don't think a truck driver is intentionally spinning a lap car to win an ARCA race, just saying. I don't know. It was the comment that he made, just doing what he had to do to win the race. And what he had to do, he needed that caution at that moment. And when he bumped into Destiny, he got a caution.
I will say this.
Took the lead.
Based on the restart, right. I wouldn't say he ran into her to cause the caution, but he didn't need to run into her. No. That's the thing of, yeah, they're a slower car. Okay, you're a faster car, whatever. But then, Sharon likes to say it, show your talent and drive around them. But then you aren't going to win the race because the caution doesn't come out. I wouldn't say he intentionally hit her to bring out a caution, but there is no reason he should have hit her at all.
I agree. And he did say it was his fault. I will say that. He did say it was his fault. However, it doesn't, I remember, we heard that from Noah Gregson so many different times. I got tired of hearing him saying, it was my fault, but then he goes out next week and does the same thing. I just have concerns that Gio Ruggiero is headed in that direction. Yeah, I don't think, I'd like to think that he did not do it purposely. But, I know what we saw. I know what he said. And I think what he said implied that he did what he had to do to win. So take it for what it's worth. But I think we have to watch the pattern here with Gio Ruggiero. First time's an accident. We can give you that. Second time's coincidence. By the third time, you've developed a really bad habit. But here's what I'm going to say, and along with that too, Jay, is that we know that drivers go through a growing period when they go into the ARCA series. And yes, he is racing in the truck series as well. But sometimes they're so anxious. He said at the end of the race too, he wanted to win for his crew chief because they just had a baby. He had all these reasons for why he had to win that race. And that's what bothers me. He did what he had to do to win that race. And that's what bothers me about that win. And I had somebody comment on the Facebook page today too. They felt exactly the same way. They didn't like the way he went about winning. And I have to agree with that. I didn't like the way he went about winning. Now we know that these drivers go through a growth period. This did not demonstrate to me his talent. This demonstrated to me his over anxiousness to win the race. It shows me his immaturity as a driver. A mature driver would not have done that. And that's the short and long of it, Jay.
And I want to clear something there. I like him. I like him as a driver. I think he's got talent. I think he's going to go far. But you got to take the steps to get there, like you said. Now, one of the things you said of the maturity, I think even though he is in the truck series, he might have still been a proving thing. Well, if I'm a truck series driver and I come down and race in a JGR ARCA, I better win or they might take away my truck ride. Oh, you know what I mean? Of that, I got to prove that I belong where I'm at. So, yeah, I'm with you. Yeah. And like I said, I like him as a driver. I don't like what he did in this particular race, in that particular incident.
I 100% agree with you. And I'll tell you, it kind of, I like Gio Ruggiero too, but I think there was a little notch there in that like with what he did at Kansas in the ARCA race. You don't want to get too many notches like that. I want to see the talent on the track. If you're that talented of a driver, show me that talent on the track. Don't and take accountability for what you do.
And that was the second part. I didn't feel like he really took true accountability. Yeah, he kind of said it was his fault, but she did this, or she was slower. I had the better car. And honestly, Sharon, you said the first time's an accident or an incident, second time coincidence. Look at the team. And I'm not saying JGR, but just the two drivers that have been in that car that said, hey, we're the best team. We need to be winning. It was two different drivers, but it was that same mentality, right. So I'm like, that kind of falls in we're getting into the coincidence, although it was two different drivers.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I say, it's not a matter of whether or not he's a talented driver. We know he's a talented driver. We just didn't see him use that talent on the track this weekend.
Yeah, honestly, initially I was just like, was he having a nap? Because like I said, you come up on somebody and just run into him, I was like, that just didn't seem good. But like I said, I think Destiny Spurlock probably got more attention and highlight out of it with that save than anything. So take some good from it.
Yes, indeed. Okay, now here's here's our next topic, redemption run for Daniel Dye. He could have won along with Jack Wood. Daniel Dye ended up finishing second in his return after his suspension, which was a good comeback. His performance puts him back into the competitive spotlight. And Jack Wood ended up finishing 18th after the incident on the track. Your thoughts here, Jay?
I was thrilled with this. First off, just him being back. Again, I believe in the second chances and redemption. And if you get the chance, go back and listen to Larry McReynolds and Daniel Trotta's show today. He had an interview on there. There were a couple of things I would have liked to have asked. I'm not sure if he'd answered outright, but he was pretty honest and open. We mentioned he's got a deal coming. I know he's in the ARCA race at Talladega this next weekend. I don't know if he's going to be able to run full-time for the championship. But this specific race started at the back, drove his way to the front cleanly. Again, he was pretty much incident-free, had a shot at winning, but just showed the talent. And I think that goes a long way to getting back into a good position in the racing world.
Okay. All Sports All Day says, I picked every ARCA winner correctly so far this year. I'm torn between Ruggiero and Finch at Dega. I hear you. It's a potluck at Talladega. Some of his other comments here, we covered let's see. He says, honestly, it was a pretty solid race. Gio Haight is forced. If it wasn't JGR, I already read that one, didn't I?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we're caught up. We haven't got to some of the other topics yet, but we're going to get to it. And I'll post those comments as we go here. But yeah, it was really great to see Daniel Dye back on the track. I was happy that he got that second place finish. And Jay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said about Jack Wood.
Well, he was another one, though, that, I mean, honestly, again, barring that last caution, I think would have been the winner. Had a good race, a solid car. He's an up-and-coming driver looking for that first win and was ever so close. Just one of those heartbreak for him. I don't know that Daniel Dye was going to catch him either, had it run out without the caution. So I feel like one was maybe kind of taken from him.
Yeah, in a way it does, especially if you feel like that caution, that bump into Destiny Spurlock was an intention to bring out a caution. So we'll see what happens. Okay, now then, I do think Daniel Dye also signed up for 4 races in the Cup Series. And those 4 races are going to be start at Talladega this weekend. But he also has, let's see, I put the dates down here.
I don't know the dates, but it's Talladega, Daytona, Pocono, and Talladega again.
Yes, yes, those are the races that he's going to be racing at this season. His performance, again, I think is going to put him back into the competitive spotlight. But keep in mind, when he goes to the Cup Series, he's going to go through the same thing that some of these other drivers have gone through, which is the adjustment to the next gen car. It's a very big adjustment for anybody who hasn't driven them to jump up into that series and race. And if you want some examples, look at Connor Zilisch, who dominated in the O'Reilly Series last year. He's struggling this year. Cole Custer, who's very, very good in the O'Reilly Series, is struggling in the next gen car. Although we did see some signs of him a little bit this weekend. It didn't end up as good, but we did see a few glimpses.
Yeah, I thought, and that's where we're even going back to All Sports All Day's initial ranking. That was one of the top two races I would have had. Yeah, maybe 7's about right with that, because I thought it was some good racing. The drawback being how that caution came about. And he's asking who the ARCA champ picks. Little early, I think, as I mentioned when we started this show, I think we may see some very competitiveness as we get deeper into the season. Jake Bowman and Jason Kitzmiller right now holding their own. Ryan Vargas, again, I believe that is full-time Maple Motorsports. Right now, honestly, I hate to say it that way, but I'm thrilled with where they are. If they can maintain that, I would love that. But they are a relatively new team, so I'm a little surprised they're as high as they are.
Yeah, the ARCA champ pick is kind of hard to do right now because, quite honestly, I'm not sure who's running full-time and who isn't. So it makes it a little more difficult to figure out who's going to be at the end. There's 20 races in the ARCA season. So as the season goes on and we get a better feel for who's going full-time, who's going part-time, I think it'll help. And he says Vargas said in an interview with Front Stretch he won't race every race.
Oh, God, man. Why you got to bust my bubble like that? I said I wasn't sure. I knew it wasn't exactly a solid deal, but if they are third, fourth in points and get deeper into the season, a lot of times you see sponsors come on board to help out. So keep running like he's running. Maybe bring some of the monster truck carryover and get some deals done there. I would love to see him have a shot at it.
He says in relation to Daniel Jai racing in the Cup Series, I hope he does well. Good for him. I agree. And as far as his champ pick, he says, All Sports All Day says, I say Annunziata or Bowman. And I think those are good picks. We'll see how it kind of flushes out here as the season continues. But I want to move on to our next topic here, Jay. Was there anything more you wanted to say here?
I think right now, all of those are very solid picks. Even Michael Maples driving for himself with his own is in 6th place. Like I said, I see a very competitive season coming here for the ARCA Menards Series. Daniel Dye is another one. I know he's racing again this weekend. If that develops into a full-time ride and he can, finish this season, I think with how he ran at Kansas, he'd have a shot. So I think it's wide open, honestly. I'm looking forward to the good racing.
All right. You and me too. Okay. Female drivers make a statement. One of the biggest stories from Kansas is the depth and progress among female drivers. 3 females finished inside the top 10. Lainey Bison 5th, Jade Avedisian in 7th on her first intermediate track start. And Destiny Spurlock, who finished 10th, had that amazing save after the rear bump from Gio Ruggiero. Your thoughts here?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great storyline. Lainey Bice is another one they talked about post-race of the 4 wide pass. Getting up there and getting aggressive and making it work. I think we are really starting to see, and unfortunately, I think you have it a little further, Isabella Robusto, yeah.
Yes.
Again, unfortunately, this is the way her season started last season. She came on to get back up and finish 5th in points. So we know she has the talent as well. What I didn't realize, and out of all those, I don't know where to rank these. Disney Spurlock, again, that save was absolutely impressive, and still come home 10th. But you mentioned Jade Avedizian. That's the first intermediate track start. I didn't realize that because I know she had many starts. So 7th for her, that was pretty impressive as well.
It was indeed. I agree. I think it's great that we're seeing so many females doing so well in the ARCA Menards series. And for some of these, it's their first time in the ARCA Menards series. So they've raced in the ARCA West or maybe the ARCA East, but to race on the bigger stage of the ARCA Menards series platform is a difference from the regional 2 series. So I am impressed with them. I think we've got big things to look forward to with all of them. I hope we see some of them, if not all of them, move up into NASCAR's ladder into the Truck Series or the Xfinity Series and so forth and do as well.
And I want to say something. I'm going to try and say it without offending anybody, but I think this is the best crop of female race drivers. And I'm not saying others can't drive, but I think they're more the media hype. And I know that would turn into another discussion on a male driver, but you know, and there's nothing wrong with both. It's good for the sport. But I really do think we're seeing these 3 and 4 with Isabella Robusto, just didn't have a good finish this weekend, of true talented drivers.
Okay. And the big picture takeaway here is we had 3 women finishing in the top 10. And I think that is a major milestone moment for the series and signals a growing competitiveness across the field. Now they're just getting started. I get that. But I do think that given the time to develop, I think that we're going to see some big competitiveness from these females with some of the other guys.
I think so. And like I said, Isabella Robusto, I know you got her listed down here below as you know, another tough break. Why these first 3 to 5 races in a season they struggle? I wish I had that answer.
Yeah, it's really a shame. Let's see. Okay, he does say, and this is going to be one of our next topics, a big year for Robusto. Unacceptable how she finished behind Kitzmiller in points, who missed a race last year. I get bad luck, but she needs to get a win this year. She is too good. She's in too good of a car. I agree. I think Robusto has the talent. I just think it seems like she's got a target on her back. She seems to always get, and it was at no fault of her own that she got caught up in this wreck. It was oil on the track after Cletus McFarland had his car blow up. So that was not her fault. And she just seems to run into that kind of luck every week.
And it wasn't right. And it was in a solid position. Everybody there was running good. Just unfortunate situation. That is one of those, you want to talk about having just a bad monkey on your back. Again, it started that way last year. Once she got in her groove, she was ripping off top 5s, top 10s every week and got back to 5th in points. But that was because of the start of the season, these bad finishes, especially multiple in a row. You know, that's a big a hole to dig out of. And I thought she did a great job finishing the year. So, yeah, had high expectations going into this year. You're right. It's a solid team. Some of the mechanical things, now that might be something to look at because I feel like they're, again, I don't know. Maybe some of them are things she caused of overdriving the car or shifting wrong or something, but didn't seem to be any of the driver doing.
I agree. And I just want to say that it's just a reminder of how, you know, Kansas is a really fast racetrack. And it just reminds us how fast things can happen at that track. It can turn, especially with the high speeds and the narrow margins for error. And a race can turn on a dime in a matter of a second. And it just is unfortunate for Isabella Robusto in this case.
All right. Whoops. Race results.
It's that high speed drama that we see.
You know, And that's one of, I think, the ARCA Menards series overall put on the best racing and utilizing the track, going 4 wide like Laney Bice did, and clean racing with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 incidences.
Yeah, All Sports All Day says she needs a win this year. She needs winning pace like her teammates. She never showed real winning pace besides that dirt race in 24. She is consistent, top 10, but next level has to be taken. And I would agree with that, All Sports All Day. I think that's a good assessment. I think she does need to step up her pace, if you will, and get a little bit better here. And I think she'll do that, but she needs to get the bad luck monkey off her back too.
I was going to say, just to be a little bit defensive on her side of that too, you got to have the equipment behind you, or be able to get all these bad luck things behind you. Towards the end of last year, I wouldn't say winning speed like you said, but I felt like it was at least top 5, top 3, and closing in on it. And we know that is the step-by-step evolution. You don't go from running 20th to winning races. It's that evolution. And it hasn't continued into this year, unfortunately. We're back to the rough start, but we'll see once she gets in the groove.
Okay. There's also mechanical issues that impacted the race. An engine failure from Cletus McFarland's car spilled oil that directly affected the race outcome. The incident reshuffled the running order and triggered key moments. Mechanical reliability continues to be a deciding factor in ARCA races, especially on the longer intermediate tracks. Agree or disagree, Jay?
Well, I don't know exactly what it was that caused the engine failure, if he overdrove it or whatever. Honestly, there again, showed some talent when the motor went up and he did his bald eagle slide job with it. I thought showed some talent in handling the spin, if you will, and whatnot. Very unfortunate for the 2 cars. And I was trying to look at the results here. Who else besides Isabella Robusto was the one involved in that? Was Jack Wood involved in that as well?
It was somebody right behind her at the time.
I know, that's what I'm trying.
No, it wasn't Cletus.
No, Andy Jakowiak.
Andy Jakowiak, that's right.
There we go. So, yeah, very unfortunate for them. Like you said, I mean, there's nothing you can do. We saw it immediately as soon as the engine let go. Isabella into the wall, and then Andy Jakowiak behind her got together. Both ended their days there. Both of them had solid runs. Would have liked to have seen where they finished up. But I thought it was still a good performance by both of them. Just don't get the results, not of their own doing.
Yeah, I would agree. It's unfortunate when there's a mechanical failure and it takes somebody out who's just riding along minding their own business. And that was the case for both Andy J and for Isabella Robusto, and it ended their day, unfortunately. At least Isabella, I know it ended her day. So he says Cletus was running better than Annunziata, Robusto, and a few others. He was doing great. And he was doing great. He has shown some restraint, I think, on the track as far as taking care of his car and being respectful of the other drivers. And he's not making some of those mistakes that he was making earlier. I think he's showing some growth in the series as well.
Well, and I think a lot of that, though, came from his Xfinity and Truck Series starts. And I know this ties into another one I had given Sharon already last week, whether or not he should have been denied Talladega. I think driving-wise, I thought he showed his talent and skill. And I'm not saying he hasn't ever had any incidences in the ARCA Menards series, but we know that the trucks and the O'Reilly Auto Parts are a whole different ball game. And maybe he does need to slow step it, but I didn't feel he should have been denied Talladega. But if we talk about that later, we'll get to it.
Yeah, we can add that to our additional topics. I will say that he's on a learning curve. He's in the mode of take care of your car, be respectful of the other drivers, learn what you can learn. And then, as the season progresses and you get more comfortable in the car, then you can start being a little more aggressive. while doing the same of being respectful of the other drivers and showing your talent. I think he's doing great. I think for where he's at, I think he's doing all the right things.
And I think you hit on something, because he mentioned that after his O'Reilly Auto Parts start, that's a couple of the spinouts he had by himself, was that he got a little comfortable and aggressive too soon. He wasn't quite prepared to go where he did, and cost himself. Then he got back, rode out, got back up to 20th. He said he got a little excited again and did it again. So he is mentally learning, and watching.
Exactly. Okay, momentum heading into Talladega, Jay. With Kansas in the books, the focus shifts to Talladega Superspeedway next week. Teams now pivot from intermediate setups to drafting and pack racing. Contenders need to balance aggression with survival at one of the most unpredictable tracks on the schedule. Here's where we can talk about Cletus McFarland, if you want, and his being denied.
All right. Well, first off, the momentum is good. Everything's good, whatever. You talked about it, though, of moving up a series. Whatever series you're in, Talladega, a super speedway, is its own whole ball game. And you use the word survival. That one, we know how many things can happen that are not of your own doing. So good luck. Do your best to stay out of it, and see where it falls. Because that is a race where so much of it is not within your own doing.
And I think the key word there is unpredictable. It is so unpredictable. And it is so different than Daytona. I know he's raced at Daytona before, but Talladega is a whole different ballgame. Yes, it's a super speedway. Yes, to all of that. But it's a wider track. It's not as narrow as Daytona. And it's going to be faster. And so, again, the recommendation for somebody like Cletus and Squirrel McNutt is just to take it slow, learn what you can learn, and even then, you can get caught up in something that is not of your own doing. So, just take it as it comes.
With that, I guess I was fighting so hard to find the driver that was involved in that wreck. I should have just went to YouTube in the chat room and look, because All Sports All Day had it up there for us, Sharon.
Yeah,
Andy J. Yeah, appreciate that. And I should have just gone directly to you. Talking about Talladega, though, and Cletus McFarland, do I understand why maybe it should have been questioned of his eligibility? Yes. Do I think he should have been denied? I don't, but I understand NASCAR's decision from one aspect, and that is he doesn't have a lot of experience. However, I feel like they gave in to social media pressure that the fans were screaming no, didn't want him out there, and I disagree with that decision from that aspect. When I thought about it and talking with some friends when we talk racing, I said, honestly, if spinning out or running 30th is the criteria, there's some cup drivers that maybe you need to take away their license. I mean, honestly, seriously. That's where I'm really on the fence of, like I said, am I saying NASCAR's in the wrong? No. Do I think they're in the right? No. Not fully.
Yeah, I don't know why they denied him. I'm just going to say, without knowing all the details of why he was denied, I just think that maybe in this case, we might need to trust NASCAR and their decision. Can we question it? Absolutely. I have no problem with questioning it. I just think that we don't know all the details, and maybe NASCAR needs to give us that. I don't know. What are your thoughts about NASCAR giving us the details of why he was denied?
Well, they did in the fact that it was lack of experience. The fact that it came so late is what makes me feel and believe that they kind of bended towards the social media outcry. Now here's one where I said yes, he is the media personality. Is he the best driver out there? No, but we see the learning and the progression. And like I said, we got some drivers at the top levels that, a few years ago, I think it was Brad Keselowski that made the comment, well, if they need this, they should go back to a requalification or move back to a lower series. And I'm like, You've had your incidences, Brad. You better be careful, or NASCAR might be saying you're the one that needs to go back and get some retraining. So, yeah, like I said, can I understand why NASCAR did? Yes. Is he lacking in experience? Yes. Do I feel, though, he should have been given the opportunity? I do. I don't feel he is a wild card threat, going to wreck everybody in the field type thing. I just don't. I don't see it that way.
Okay, All Sports All Day says, I'm a Cletus fan, but I'm okay with him not running front of the pack in control of 37 other cars' destiny at Dega in the best car on the track. And he says, for once, NASCAR made the right call.
Like I said, I'm on both sides. Yeah, I understand their decision. It's not what I think should have been made. And my belief of why they made the decision, because like I said, I really feel like they gave to social media pressure of fans screaming that he's the worst driver, which I don't think he is. According to Denny Hamlin, it's Cody Ware.
Okay, big picture takeaways. And that's for this particular series, and we'll close this out. Kansas delivered a mix of a breakout win, a comeback performance, a diversity milestone, and a race-altering adversity. Gio Ruggiero had success at Daytona, aggression at Kansas, and I'm not sure if he's racing at Talladega or not, but what's going to happen at Talladega next week? And I think we've hit it on the nail. It's unpredictable. Nobody's got the crystal ball to really know the answer to that question.
Yeah, I think Kansas, the ARCA Menards series at Kansas delivered on so many levels. And that last statement, I don't know if you read it, the wide open ARCA Menards series season with multiple drivers establishing themselves early, which is why I can't really say even try and pick a champion yet at this point, because I do think it is kind of wide open.
Okay, All Sports All Day says, Jay, 5 laps at Daytona in a truck. Miracle that he was the only one taken out. 5 laps in an easier vehicle. I think, and then he also follows up with, I think he should be approved for all the truck series, though.
Well, for one of saying the truck is the easier, that would be a matter of opinion. Kyle can win in the trucks. He can't get out of his own way in the Cup Series, so that's a debate in and of itself. Was that a mistake? Yes. I mean, but again, in the O'Reilly race, he ran, finished all the laps, so that shows progression. Give him that opportunity. And he admitted he made a mistake there of where he came off the corner. But there again, how many of the Cup Series drivers, broadcasters said, I understand that. I've made that mistake. I know what he did there because I've done it.
Okay. And to kind of tie this into our title here tonight, Kansas, bad, good, and ugly. That's in relationship to execution. I tried to have execution in our title, but it was not approved. I think it could be misinterpreted. So the big picture takeaway is that Gio Ruggiero's execution, in my mind, was bad. The bad in this title, as far as he could have done that much differently, much better. He could have shown his skill. I understand he's still on a learning curve, but I think it's more of a head issue, an attitude issue of where he stands in relationship to the other drivers. And I want him to put some thought into that and show us his skill more than the attitude.
And I think that's all very true.
Okay. Moving on then to the Xfinity, or not Xfinity. I've got to stop saying that. The NASCAR O'Reilly Series. Oh, before I go, though, I do want to say all signs point to a wide open ARCA Menards Series season with multiple drivers establishing themselves early. And I agree with that. I think it's going to be a great season. Okay, in the NASCAR O'Reilly Series, Taylor Gray doubles down on momentum. He delivered a statement performance, capturing his second O'Reilly Series victory at a fast intermediate track. We're going to give you the race results here. And let me pull that up real quick. we're going to share this tab instead. Did it come up, Jay? No.
Not yet. And yeah,
Okay.
again, my computer's being so touchy tonight.
Okay, Taylor Gray was your race winner. 64 points he gained this week with a win margin of 0.718 seconds over the second place driver. He led 48 laps. Taylor Gray finished in first place. Then it was Sheldon Creed finishing second. Justin Allgaier in third. Jesse Love fourth, and we'll talk about Jesse Love in a few minutes. Brent Cruz, a lot of people thought he might win here, finished fifth. William Byron, another Cup Series driver in the race this weekend, finished in sixth. Cole Custer in seventh in an SS Greenlight Racing vehicle. Brandon Jones, who led the first two stages, in eighth. Sam Mayer ninth, and Ryan Sieg rounds out your top 10 drivers here.
And that's where I was in agreement with All Sports All Day overall. I thought this was probably the best competitive, action-packed race. Some of it not good action, but good storylines of whoever coulda, shoulda, woulda won it there. Stirring the pot again. Taylor Gray getting the victory. I love that. Sheldon Creed was right there. I was like, oh, are we establishing ourselves as a multi-time winner now? Brandon Jones, I really thought was going to be the winner, but that goes back to you don't want to win stage one and stage two and dominate the race because you can't finish it for some reason. So I saw that coming after he won stage two. I'm like, well, there goes that theory that he's going to win. But you mentioned Cole Custer. Again, he has gotten that team their only victory. So to see him get a top 10 finish, I thought there was great racing, great storylines. Couple of incidences, which it gives us hot topics to talk about. So we got it all. I want to know why you're 0.5. What is with the 0.5 All Sports All Day? Don't stir the pot. Pick a side, 8 or 9.
Okay, Balicki is spinning and Cavapo is pirouetting down the back straightaway. And we are going to talk about that in just a few minutes here, All Sports All Day. So I agree you. That was amazing on just lap 2. Jay, do you want to cover the points?
Oh, shoot. I'm sorry. I pulled up the air. Let me see if driver points. I can get that real quick off this page. I can tell you this without looking. Justin Allgaier is at the top. Does that help?
Yep, Justin Allgaier is at the top.
Again, I think it was minimal points, if anybody, that anybody gained on Justin Allgaier. He is still your points leader now at 131 points over Sheldon Creed. From there, it's competitive. Jesse Love at minus 149, 18 behind him. Corey Day, tough day, should have had better, but in fourth is 27 points behind Love. Then Brandon Jones moving up. I don't know if he moved up this race, but just in general on this season, JGR turning their season around. Then Sammy Smith, Carson Cavapo took a tumble on the track as well as in the points. Austin Hill, I think, also slid down one. Taylor Gray moving up, obviously getting the victory. William Sawalich, one of those of involved in somebody else's melee. Parker Retzlaff also took a hit in the points, not of his own doing, unfortunately. And then Rajah Caruth in 12th is your cut line. And let me see, 254. It is 25 points back to Ryan Sieg. And Sieg is another one, man. Just needs a little bit of luck on his side, just a touch. Then Sam Mayer, Brendan Poole, Brent Cruz at 190 is now within 64 points to get into the chase after missing the first 4 races, 4 of the first 10 races, due to his age limit. He is definitely on the rise.
Okay. Just to kind of go over who's moving up and who's moving down, not much happening at the bottom here, but Brent Cruz actually moved up 2 spots. Taylor Gray moved up 3 spots, as did Brandon Jones, moved up 3 spots. Sammy Smith 1 spot up. Brett Cruz 2 spots up. Jeremy Clements moved up 2 spots, as did 1 spot. Dean Thompson moved up 2 spots. Josh Williams moved up 2, Ryan Ellis 1. The biggest movers here, as far as moving down the series point standings, Carson Cavapel and Austin Hill both lost 2 positions in points. Parker Retzlaff 2 spots. Jeb Burton down 1, Anthony Alfredo down 1, Blaine Perkins down 2. So Austin Green down 2. So those are your biggest movers up and down the series point standings.
And there too, I know right now Justin Allgaier clearly has a very substantial lead, and will start, if he wins the regular season points, we'll start with, I believe it's a 25-point, whatever it is, an advantage. I see some other teams that are gaining traction, but again, Allgaier's consistent. He may not be winning, but he's finishing 3rd, 4th, 2nd, 5th. It's tough to gain on him then, you know what I mean? Even if you are winning. So these guys need to make sure they're absolutely on top of their game, because we saw this. Junior Motorsports is that way all season long.
Okay. Going back to the results here, I thought Taylor Gray showed some maturity in managing the long green flag runs. This was not just a win, it was proof of growth. He was rewarded by moving up 3 spots from the cut line to 9th in the series point standings. And there's my dates for Daniel Dye. Daniel Dye is going to be Talladega in April 26th, Pocono June 14th, Daytona August 29th, and Talladega October the 25th. Is it a breakthrough or a turning point? Gray's win raises a major question for the season. Is this the start of a consistent winning stretch or a strong performance in the right situation? His ability to win at a place like Kansas suggests that he's evolving beyond just raw talent into a more complete driver. What are your thoughts about that, Jay?
Yeah, I think we've seen that. He was one too of, feel like kind of compare him to Sheldon Creed, kept coming so close, had a couple he should have won, taken away from him, lost it, whatever. But I do think it is a climb. Also factor in, we saw JGR as an organization come out the gate kind of slow. Look at Brandon Jones and now Taylor Gray. That's where I said I think Junior Motorsports needs to stay on top of their game, because I think JGR has righted the ship and come in full bore, so look out.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I think that he is growing, and I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here, but I'm just going to say this. Well, I'll hold off. I'm not going to say it. I thought Taylor Gray is evolving as a race car driver. He showed us his talent on the track. He was patient. He had focus. And when the strategy call came from the pit box, he capitalized on it. And he made it work in order to get that win. So it wasn't just the strategy call from the pit box. He had to make it work, and he did. And I really like what he did in this race.
And that goes back to just the team as a whole, belief in your driver, the crew believing in the driver believing in the crew, even if mistakes are made, staying together. And Justin Allgaier's team talked about that, Ryan Blaney's. That's a big key factor of, even when things don't go your way, you stay united.
Yes, and he did that. And we brought up Brandon Jones winning those first 2 stages without winning. And Jay, you hit the nail on the head there. We've seen it happen so often this year, where somebody who dominates the race ends up not winning. And we're going to talk about that in our strategy versus speed topic here, because Kansas once again highlighted the balance between track to position, tire management, pit execution. And to me, this was good execution between the pit crew call and Taylor Gray as a driver. That was good execution. And that's what we like to see. And I think it's showing us that Gray is passing the test. And that's a big deal.
It is. And I think you've seen that with Junior Motorsports always with that, it is always about just top-notch execution. So that is a very key factor. Again, do some things not always go your way? Yeah, that's going to happen. We've seen it with Allgaier, but you don't let it destroy your season then.
Exactly. And even though you're the fastest car on the track, it's not a guarantee that you're going to be the race winner, especially at a track like Kansas Speedway.
Yeah, that's so far this year, and I don't know why. All I'm saying is don't win both stages.
Okay, let's have some conversation about the incidents on the track. Early aggression, aero wrecking, side drafting. Lap 2, Carson Cavapel's race ends with wild flipping action, or as All Sports All Day would say, pirouetting down the front stretch.
You know, and this one, what I found ironic was two of the incidents. Yeah, sorry. 2 of the incidences were amongst teammates. What that first one with Junior Motorsports, I hate to say it, but I kind of see William Byron, like we were talking about Gio Ruggiero, being down there in another series, thinking, you know, I got it. This car needs to win, and I'm in it. Maybe put them in a bad position. I'm not saying, again, it was anything wrong, but I think he could have been smarter. But also then can go 4 wide at Kansas when you have to run next to somebody and do the aero drafting, or what I called the aero wrecking, because that's what a couple of them was. You just got close enough that the air is what spun them out. And these drivers know that, but they, you know, rather than one go to the top and one go to the bottom, they both go to the middle and try and draft off each other and wreck each other. I'm like, you know, this is what's going to happen. Don't do it.
Yeah, I agree with you. William Byron knows better. He's a talented driver, but he knows better than to do that. And it's that anxiousness of trying to win the race again. You've got to put that in check. And just because you're a Cup driver in the Xfinity Series, in the O'Reilly Series, these drivers do not have to pull over for you. Just like the same thing with Gio Ruggiero in the ARCA Menards Series. He knows better. I know William Byron knows better. So let's put it in check, guys.
Well, and this one obviously specifically, but even the next one with RCR, way too early in the race. Lap 3, clearly way too early. I think the other one was like 30 to 50 laps in. But again, 37, okay. Still way too early. And I did agree with that when Austin Hill made that statement from the infield care center. He's like, it's a little early to be wrecking out, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. And let's talk about this. RCR teammates on lap 37 laps into the race, Austin Hill versus Jesse Love. Love ends up finishing 4th. Hill finishes 34th and out of the race. And William Sawalich, Jay, ends up being collateral damage.
Yeah, unfortunate for him. I know he's kind of been getting his season going on track. I hope that still continues and it doesn't put him back into the mindset or attitude of bad luck is following me everywhere I go. This one was. I mean, because like you said, it happened in front of me. I had nowhere to go. I'm with All Sports All Day here. Of the two, I normally am Jesse Love fan and more against Austin Hill, but I think he was valid in what he said. Way too early, and it was unnecessary. And this is one of those where I said, especially you're talking about teammates. Why you got to run down and pinch them down when you could have went to the high line, him on the bottom line, and just drag race it out and settle it? You're running next to each other. And I understand the advantage and the strategy of the aero draft, but look at what it's causing. It didn't work out well. Maybe you shouldn't do that.
Yeah, I hope that was a lesson learned. I wonder how the RCR team meeting went this morning. What was Love thinking? And then he says Love's was way more egregious, I would say.
I'd have to agree.
I would agree with you. I would agree with you there. And then he also says, hey, now only 13 more second place runs and Creed can get another win.
Yeah. Yeah. If you noticed, I was like, dang, dude, I responded to that one. I was like, that's harsh. The good thing is, though, with going back to Creed real quick, of that if you are running second, you're going to get that win. I think they are going to come more frequently here. But yeah, this is one of those of, and I know All Sports All Day and I have gone back and forth on this of who should get moved up to Cup first, Austin Hill or Jesse Love. This one, I did not do Jesse Love any favors. No. Yeah, he got the better finish. And I didn't see post-race if he accepted responsibility.
I didn't see it either, Jay. I'm sorry.
Okay, All Sports All Day. Let's go to our statistician. Did Jesse Love take responsibility for it is the question. Okay. Not that, again, you can, like you said, Sharon, you can't keep taking responsibility for keep doing it either.
Exactly. I really agree with All Sports All Day. It was very egregious. Love knows better as well. Again, and he says he didn't see any interview with Love either. So it's just hard on some of these races. I know everybody wants to win, but again, you've got talent, use your talent. Don't let your attitude get in the way. And that's what I think is happening with some of these incidents that happen on the track, because some of these could have been avoided if the drivers had their attitude in check. I know we're human. I know we are passionate. I know that all of that happens. I just think that they could avoid some of the accidents that end up with collateral damage with people who had nothing to do with it. And it's just a matter of checking your attitude, leaving it in the motorhome or somewhere other than the racetrack.
Well, All Sports All Day has backed us up for stats and what the information we need. This is the first time he's let us down. So that's your one-time incident. Don't let it become a coincidence and a habit.
Did you bring a wooden spoon with you today, Jay?
I'm just returning. I'm returning the volley.
You're stirring the spot. You're stirring the pot.
And actually, I was thinking back. I think with the Jesse Love interview, he kind of sidestepped it, if I recall correctly. He did say he would have to talk to Austin Hill, but that it would be at the team meeting, and that's when they were questioning how it would be. Yeah. So I think he just didn't want to do it publicly on camera, which I think he should have own it. But I think it was kind of a sidestep when they interviewed him, because I was replaying in my head. I was like, I watched the post race, and I thought they had interviewed him, but yeah, I think he did kind of sidestep it and say it to be handled internally. And I'm not saying that that's not an appropriate aspect either, but I think he maybe should have acknowledged more of that was on me, and I'll address it with him.
Well, that's a good point. Okay, now momentum heading forward. With Kansas complete, the focus now shifts to the next challenge, which is Talladega. Can Gray carry his momentum? Will consistency drivers close the gap? Does this shake up the chase outlook? And I think Talladega certainly has a chance of doing all of that.
Yeah, Talladega is Talladega. Again, the momentum, yes, it's good, and you still have it. And I see All Sports All Day is responding. I can only imagine. I'll come back to that. But it goes back to survival and just get through Talladega. I hate to say that for any race, but we know that Talladega, and there are some drivers that show some very high skill, but again, something can happen. They're showing their skill and it gets wiped out. So,
yeah. Okay, All Sports All Day says, first time, I'm sorry, it was an accident. Next time it'll be a coincidence. I might have to resign as a statistician if it happens a third time and becomes a habit. I'm not expecting that, Sports All Day.
Love it, having a good time.
Yeah, we're just having fun here. So thanks for taking it in the vein in which it's intended. Okay. Moving right along here, the big picture takeaway. Okay, let me put up my graphic. The big picture takeaway here. Tyler Reddick, well, no, wait a second. Kansas showed us a young driver is learning how to win in Taylor Gray. Strategy and execution will outweigh raw speed, and we've seen that over and over again this year. It's the strategy and the execution that's making the difference, not the raw speed on the track. And the chase to the chase just got a lot more interesting. What do you think, Jay?
I do. The first two of yes, and it's not just this young driver. We've seen it with several here lately. Maybe not winning, but driving better. Corey Day, Brent Cruz. So for the chase getting more interesting, I say yes. Again, though, to be the man, you got to beat the man. Right now, Justin Allgaier is still that picture of absolute consistent top fives. So even if you are winning or running top five as well, you're not gaining a whole lot. And if you give him that start to the chase with the bonus for the regular season championship, he's going to be tough to catch and beat. But I do see several teams I feel like are on the move getting closer to what JRM is.
Yes, indeed. All Sports All Day says tree falls the way it leans. I'm scared now. Oh, my. Okay, we're going to move now into the NASCAR Cup Series. Tyler Reddick's historic start to the 2026 season. Tyler Reddick captured his fifth win in the first 9 races of the season, an incredible pace not seen since Dale Earnhardt did it in 1987. Let's go ahead and cover. This isn't just a hot streak, it's a statement start to the season. And let's take a look at the race results here for the NASCAR Cup Series.
Well, while you're pulling that up, Sharon, I'm still waiting for an answer from All Sports All Day. How you came up with the 0.5 in your race ranking?
The answer. I'm sorry, he did give an answer.
Oh, I missed that. Well, how did you come to the 0.5?
I picked. Let's see. He did say it. Big year.
I apologize for missing it then.
Oh, no. She needs a win this year, Andy J.
No, not on the Cup Series, on the O'Reilly Auto Parts. You had 8.5. I was just trying to figure out.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
you did not answer that one yet.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I won't argue the 5 on the Cup race, and we'll talk about that here as we go.
Okay, Tyler Reddick. He earned 71 points in this race. Max is 76. His win margin was 0.118 thousandths of a second, and he led only 10 laps, Jay. Tyler Reddick finished first. Then it was Kyle Larson in second. Chase Briscoe finished third. Denny Hamlin fourth. Bubba Wallace in fifth. Brad Keselowski sixth. William Byron seventh. Chase Elliott in eighth. Ty Gibbs in ninth. And Chris Buescher rounds out your top 10 finishers.
Well, just strictly about this one race, the history of what he's doing and comparing to Earnhardt, we'll get to that. This race alone, you got the restart there with a couple laps to go. Well, running with a couple laps to go, your fuel bobbles, you're done. I mean, you got the car going again, but Hamlin was driving away. Caution comes out. Restart. Kyle Larson gets by you guys, and you're door slamming for second and third. He's got a 5-car length lead, and you not only come off the door slam and get into second, but to run him down and past Kyle Larson in a lap and a half, that is just on fire. I mean, unbelievable. I can't believe it, and I watched it happen. Had somebody told me that's what happened, I'd been like, dude, you were having a dream. I mean, you were watching some made-up show. That just don't happen. I mean, unbelievable.
He had to overcome a lot of obstacles here in order to win this race. And he's done it in other races as well with pit road penalties and so forth. I just think that it's hard to argue that he isn't the early championship favorite at this point in the NASCAR Cup Series. It's just an incredible streak that he is on. And even it seemed like Michael Jordan was even in disbelief. All Sports says, all day says, I put it in about 30 minutes ago. I said because before pit cycle in stage 3, it got stretched out a bit. I don't think I've ever given a race a 10 out of 10. It's got to be perfect to get a 10 out of 10.
Oh, okay. I was just curious then of why not 9, but yeah, the half point is what was. But I do remember you saying that about the pit cycle stretch out. So thank you, All Sports All Day, and you're free to give whatever rank. You can go 0.35 if you want.
Okay, before we go on about Tyler Reddick here, let's go ahead and cover the points report.
Well, that too is about Tyler Reddick, as you mentioned. Points report. Okay. Oh, that's the O'Reilly one.
Oh, that's the O'Reilly. Sorry, let me get the Cup Series points here.
Yeah. I was looking at my own. I did the same thing on mine.
Okay. We got Tyler Reddick in the lead by 105 points, Jay.
Yeah, again, that's and well deserved. Again, at this point, how can you deny him that? He has earned it, winning those 5 races. And again, I know that's comparing to one of the best starts in history, comparing back to Dale Earnhardt. And I'll tell you what, this is one of those, you may not like it, but it is good for the sport. And I say that of today when I went to the prison, that's what several of them were talking about. They had watched the race and wanted to talk to me about it. It's engaging, engaging fans of seeing when you're comparing somebody's start to that of Dale Earnhardt, that's going to draw attention. But again, 5 wins, just absolutely been on fire, can do no wrong. You got a good driver and a good team, and then just everything works your way. Yeah, that's about darn near unbeatable. Denny Hamlin having a very solid season, got a win, second in points, but as you mentioned, 105 points back. Ryan Blaney at minus 120. Again, here it's a lot more competitive gaps between drivers. Ty Gibbs, 18 behind Blaney. Kyle Larson, still right there. I don't know if we have that listed as a hot topic. He's not winning, but he's not having a bad year either, honestly. Chase Elliott right with him with the win. Then you got William Byron, Bubba Wallace, Brad Keselowski, Christopher Bell, Chris Buescher, Carson Hocevar is your top 12. The final 4, Ryan Preece, Joey Logano, another special hot topic. Chase Briscoe into chase position from where he started. Daniel Suarez right at the line. Started out good. He's kind of had to settle into a spot, kind of backward slide. Austin Cindric now the first one on the outside, 13 points back from the cut line. He is another one that has come a long way. Shane Van Gisbergen, we talked about him all year, still having a very solid year, but a couple of rough races, finishing last or way towards the back, unfortunately, now on the outside looking in. Then Michael McDowell, Ross Chastain, that ties into Trackhouse Racing. AJ Allmendinger, and you're getting to be 19, 410, that's 50 points. Getting to be almost a race out of chase position there when you get to 21st, 22nd, and 23rd is Todd Gilliland.
Okay, going from the bottom up here, your movers up. Ricky Stenhouse moved up 1, Riley Earps 2, Austin Dillon moved up 2, Todd Gilliland, a big mover, moved up 5 spots this race. Austin Cindric up 1, Chase Briscoe moved up 6 spots, put him into the top 16. Carson Hocevar up 3 spots. Bubba Wallace up 3 spots. Kyle Larson up 4 spots. Ty Gibbs up 2. And Denny Hamlin up 1. Now, for the ones that are moving down, Ryan Blaney moved from 2nd into 3rd. He moved down 1. Chase Elliott down 2. William Byron down 2. Brad Keselowski down 1. Christopher Bell down 3. Chris Buescher down 1. Joey Logano down 2. Shane Van Gisbergen drops 4. Michael McDowell 2. Ross Chastain 1. AJ Allmendinger 1. Eric Jones 1. Kyle Busch down 3. We're going to talk about that. John Hunter Nemechek down 3. Josh Berry down 1. Noah Gragson down 2. So your movers up and down the current point standings, that's unfortunate.
Well, and the biggest thing is one race, especially for, say, Christopher Bell, we know they can recover. We've seen Chase Briscoe and Austin Cindric. I said how far they've recovered on the season. It's a couple of these drivers, though. It's been one or two every week or multiple weeks in a row. That's where you got to start worrying.
All Sports All Day says, in honor of Taylor Gray, I'll bump it up to 8.54.
That's why I was laughing while you were reading through those.
That was quick thinking, yeah. Yeah, I totally missed that while I was reading. Okay. Yeah, let's talk about the elite company that Tyler Reddick is in right now. It has echoes of 1987. The comparison to Dale Earnhardt had serious weight. Earnhardt went on to dominate that era after winning those 5 races in 9. Reddick now enters a conversation with one of the sport's all-time greats. The big question is this the beginning of a historic championship run similar to Dale Earnhardt?
Well, you said something about he's got to be considered the favorite, or at least one of them. I don't want to be a downer. This has been a very historic start and deserves every bit of accolades he gets right now. However, he hasn't won the championship yet, so we can't say that. But just to be in that conversation of the starts, and I was telling the guys that this morning, initially with winning the first 3, 4 out of, I think, 6 or 7, now 5 out of 9, it was amongst 2 drivers, Bill Elliott and Dale Earnhardt, and now it's just down to Dale Earnhardt. So that does tell you what kind of stats he is putting up to start this season, and that should be acclaimed and credited. When we're talking about the championship, though, it ain't over till it's over. I'm just going to say that. You might win stage 1 and stage 2 of the year, but you got to finish it with the 3rd.
Yes, that is the truth. And it's hard to sustain that kind of momentum over an entire season. We've got the regular season, and then we go into the 10-race chase. So I think it's going to be hard to sustain that. But who knows? Tyler Reddick, he's had an amazing run. All Sports All Day says, my favorite part of the Cup Series is when you get a 15-lap run of the leaders not catching Busch yet. And I forget he's on track and I don't care. Then I see him get lapped and everything stinks.
I feel you, man. I feel you. I think everybody is pulling for Kyle Busch right now.
Okay. I'm happiest when I forget how bad my favorite driver is. 2019, me would think this is just a bad dream. Yeah, right. I hear you. Yeah, it's kind of amazing to see it happening, to tell you the truth. But we are going to get into that conversation in just a little bit here. I do think Tyler Reddick is on an amazing run. And again, the question is whether or not he can sustain it for a whole season. I hope he does. I think it would be incredible to watch. And it is good for the sport. Let's talk about execution over dominance. Kansas once again showed that winning isn't just about having the fastest car. Strategy, timing, and focus mattered most. Reddick capitalized when it counted and proved he can close races under pressure. And he had the ugly execution. He ran out of gas. He had to turn on his second tank. He had to overcome the overtimes, restarts. He's evolving from that fast driver who does whatever he needed to do to win to a complete race winner. And he's doing it in the right way. He's showing patience. He's showing focus. He's showing, capitalizing when the opportunity arises.
Yeah, and I think you saw, we did still see some of it as we saw that trying really hard and scrubbing the wall. But we've seen that in the past of try too hard and you take yourself out. So yep. Most definitely seeing that as far as maturity as a driver. I don't know if I want to bring this up now or later when we get into the RCR deal. The stepping from RCR to take a chance on himself and a new team at 23-11. And yeah, we went through that rough season last year. Not sure what it was about. A lot of things personally as well as off the track with the team. But to come back focused and just delivering and riding it. I mean, again, I think 12th is maybe his worst finish this year. That is just unbelievable.
It really is. It really is. And I hope fans appreciate it for what it is. I know sometimes even I, after 7 championships, even I was getting Jimmy Johnson fatigue when that was happening. But I also recognized at the time that it was happening that we don't get to see that kind of performance very often. And in this case, I think it's the same thing. Let's appreciate it for what it is. It's something you don't see all the time. And I hope that people do appreciate the incredible finishes that we're getting right now. The strategy, the focus, and patience rule, an unbelievable finish, almost completely caution-free. The race reinforced some familiar themes. Track position remains critical. Late race decisions ultimately determine the outcome. Briscoe moved forward in those overtime restarts. Bell moved backward. So Kansas continues to fuel the theory that champions overcome adversity. And I would agree with that.
Well, again, and there were some other stories. For me, it was purely that, like I said, on that restart, Kyle Larson got away. Hamlin and Bell and Tyler Reddick bumping and banging. That's what a leader of the race wants to see, is second and third, taking each other out. To get away from that and run down Kyle Larson. And again, I was like, storyline's great. Kyle Larson wins 1 year later at the same track, right in the headlines. And he ran him down, caught him, and passed him. I mean, that is just, you got to appreciate that talent and what they are doing right now. Yeah, it seems like a domination. And like you said, comparing to Jimmy Johnson, I get that. But take a step back and just appreciate what the man did there.
Absolutely. While Reddick is celebrating, the rest of the garage is playing catch up. I was saying that Reddick is chasing the chase. The rest of the field is chasing Tyler Reddick. Kyle Larson showed speed but didn't win. Denny Hamlin remained a factor. He led the most laps, but he didn't win. William Byron continues consistency. He finished 7th, but hasn't won so far this season. Alex Bowman returning to form, and Ty Gibbs' consistency continues with another top 10 finish. The talent is there, but Reddick is executing better than anyone else right now, even overcoming the challenges, and he does it over and over again.
And some of these were my thoughts. So like I said, I did have some other thoughts on the race. The concern over Kyle Larson, is he having the Kyle Larson Hendrick Motorsports type banner year of multiple wins? No. Is it throw in the towel and get a new car or what? No, he's there. That one just, he got outrun, it happens. So I'm not overly concerned with him. Same with Denny Hamlin. Again, man, this is one, it came to me driving home today, the interview, and I don't know who the pit reporter was, but was like, man, you had a dominant car, you led the most laps, and you seem disappointed. I haven't seen that kind of disappointment in you before. I was like, man, that's throwing a bucket of salt in the wound. I'm like, that's what happened to him in the championship race last year.
Yes.
I thought he handled himself very well, with the exception of maybe calling out the driver that brought out the caution. William Byron is one that kind of concerns me. But again, he's consistent. You got it there. Finished 7th. But he hasn't won in 2026 so far. So we think, they're having a bad year. They're really not. It's just not the all-star year we're used to them seeing. Alex Bowman, there again, I know he finished, I think, 18th. He was up to or around 10th because that's when they pointed out that Kansas was his best top 10 track. Good storyline regardless of for that team, him as a driver coming back. Honestly, an 18th point, not exactly the finish you want to have, but there was that progression. And honestly, when we're talking about drivers of consistency, I'm telling y'all, watch out for Ty Gibbs. Again, it was at the latter end, 9th or 10th, a little further back than the 6th place, I think, had been his streak. But he's there week in and week out, and that's a good sign. I like it.
Well, here's something to consider. Well, let me read All Sports All Day's comment right now. I miss the days when at an NHMS when people would heckle me for having a Bush shirt. Now they look at me like I have a terminal disease. And All Sports All Day, you're helping us lead up to this conversation. It is on the list. So those are your teasers, everybody. Okay, I will say this. I do think that it makes Tyler Reddick's performance even that much more impressive. Look at the drivers that he is beating. Denny Hamlin, 61 wins in the series. You've got Kyle Larson. Everybody, was saying that he's one of the best drivers ever. He's beating him. Let me look at this list again. Ryan Blaney, who is a really good race car driver, another driver that overcomes adversity and still can get out there and mix it up. Ty Gibbs, who's having a phenomenal season. We mentioned Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, William Byron. These are drivers that are stalwarts in the series, and Tyler Reddick is beating them. The competition is phenomenal, and he's still out there beating these guys. And I think Tyler Reddick's just having an amazing season. He's All Sports All Day says, I think Bowman fans have it worse than Busch, though.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
I hope it doesn't continue, though.
Four of the drivers you mentioned there, Sharon, are champion drivers. Yes. Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski, and Chase Elliott are championship winners. So, yeah, you're right. That's who he's beating.
He's beating those guys and doing it well. And that has to be applauded, what he is accomplishing there. Okay. Again, the talent is there, but Reddick is executing better than everyone else right now, even overcoming the challenges. The championship picture, he has early control. 5 wins this early is everything. Chase security is essentially locked in. Teams can now experiment. Will his team now experiment and refine their setups to be better in the chase? The pressure shifts to everyone else trying to keep up with Reddick. This could allow Reddick's team to become even more dangerous. What do you think about that, Jay?
My initial thought was, heck no, why would you mess with almost perfection? However, as that thought came back into my brain, you win stage 1, you win stage 2, but you don't win the race because everybody else is adjusting and catching up and you're staying the same. So, you might want to, I'd be afraid to get off track and lose what you got. If it's working right now, that's a tough call.
Yeah,
in the old days, in the playoff format, the win and you're in, yeah, because that did guarantee you in. The win did guarantee you in. You could play around, but I feel like there's times when we maybe saw that bite some drivers. And I think back to Kevin Harvick's 10-race regular season run, and then didn't do anything worth talking about in the playoffs. I don't know if they went to trying to mess around and improve on what was working. I'd be careful about it. I'd just say that. But I see the need to, because like I said, every race that we've talked about, it's like you're out front, don't mess with the car. Well, now you got beat at the end.
Right, exactly right. So I have to agree with you 100% there. I think you have to be careful with that. I think you got to stick with what's working, but at the same time, maybe utilize some of the other drivers to maybe help with some of that experimentation, if you will, and trying out different packages or whatever to accommodate the chase races. But that's even hard during this time of the year, because what's going to happen during the last 10 races weather-wise is not going to be the same as it is during the summer months. So again, words of caution with regard to that. Although the engineers, they're a lot smarter than we are. They'll figure out some way to kind of see what they can do to help their driver during the chase. But I'll tell you, what they're doing is tough to do, but they're making it happen. So I wouldn't sell them short either.
Sharon, you do this so often. We go back and forth with that. You took the word out of my mouth. They're engineers of, the notes they have. You talk about the tracks being different when it comes to the fall races and the chase, the chase. But that is, they do have other very educated and trained and smart team members that they look at it, but they also are very selective about what they do for that reason of we don't want to go too far from what we got, but we know we need to stay ahead of them. We are ahead of them, but we need to stay ahead of them, and we aren't going to do that by standing still because they're making changes.
Absolutely right. Now, is this a career-defining season? Reddick has always had speed, but now he's winning consistently. He's executing late. He's handling the pressure. This season could redefine his place within the sport.
Absolutely it is. Again, we talked about when he moved over to 2311, got a win or two, and then had a kind of a drop-off. The team did as a whole, but he as a driver, especially going winless last year, I think he has come back and shown, hey, that was the anomaly. This is who I am and can be when things are going well. I absolutely think it's a career-defining season already. Again, we're talking about comparing to a start of a season to Dale Earnhardt in 1987. I mean, that says it all.
Nobody's done it since then, so that's really amazing. That's how incredible this really is the fact that nobody else has done that since 1987, Jay.
Yep.
It's amazing. Momentum heading forward with Kansas complete. Reddick's confidence is sky high within that entire camp. Rivals need to respond quickly, and the next stretch of races becomes critical in stopping his run. And let's talk about that because we see this happen a lot too. People figure out what he's doing, and they start to catch up with him by the second half of the season. Do you see that happening here?
Yeah, and we see it with several teams already. And again, I don't know about catching him, but at least getting their own team on track. And I got to go to Austin Cindric from Penske and then Chase Briscoe. JGR as a whole, Denny Hamlin's pretty much been there, but they were kind of off to the slow start. And Ty Gibbs, Hendrick Motorsports. Talking about, again, are they winning every other race or, multiple race wins from each of their drivers? No, we got one from Chase Elliott. But you look at this past weekend, they had 4 in the top 18, Alex Bowman being 18. So again, is it a bad season? No, there are teams that would absolutely kill for that kind of finish. But it's not that team's standard. Their bar is set so high. So yes, right now, 2311, Tyler Reddick at the lead. Bubba Wallace, again, kind of bouncing back and forth. He's on the climb again, but they're setting the bar. So, yeah, these other teams are having to, as you said, respond, figure out what they're doing, and catch up.
Yep, I think that's what needs to happen, without a doubt. All right, the big picture takeaway. Again, I want to make sure I get the graphic up here. Here's the big picture takeaway for the Cup Series. Kansas told us a star may be entering his prime in dominant fashion. And I think the big picture takeaway really is that execution, strategy, that's all beating the raw speed on the track. Raw speed is not going to win you the race. You have to be able to execute. You have to have some strategy in your back pocket in order to win when it comes down to the wire.
Well, and I said earlier, check out today's midday show. I don't know the title of the show, but it's Danielle Trotta and Larry McReynolds. He talked about this around the Daniel Dye interview. When you look at that, of the way the teams, as competitive as they are right now, and this tied into the RCR and other topics, but you have to have the speed. Okay. You can't take that away. You have to have that because that is your foundation. But he mentioned, and I don't remember the numbers he gave, but the top 20 are within tenths or thousandths of a second. So now it does come down to adding in execution, strategy, little things, that are making the difference, because everybody pretty much does have that same top speed or raw speed. So yeah, you do need these little things, execution. And I know that'll lead us into that first additional hot topic, pit crews, things like that. Those are very important now because of how close everybody is. But yeah, the outright raw speed, and we're talking about going to Talladega. We know that one driver can't just outpower and drive away from anybody anymore. So it is now on the side of execution.
All right. I heard a stat today on the morning drive that I want to share with you and get your thoughts here too. Hamlin has 36 races where he has led the most laps and didn't win the race.
Ouch.
Yes. 36 races leading the most laps without a win. That's a big picture takeaway.
It is, and that
he's still doing well points wise in the toward the chase.
Right, and that might be where I said that might have been what triggered. I didn't hear that specific stat, but that conversation might have been what triggered me thinking about the interview where they said of how disappointed he had to be with having the dominant car and finishing second. But and this is going to go twofold. That's the kind of thing of being able to overcome that and not let it get you down is what makes you a championship contender. However, there's some other things that you do that take away from your focus of being a championship contender.
We're going to talk about that. Okay, we've got some additional hot topics here. We finished our all three series review and hot topic discussions, but there are some additional hot topics. Ryan Blaney's pit crew had some improvement this week. They did have a new jackman. Their former jackman was not able to be at the track this weekend, so they brought in a new jackman, and there was a big improvement.
Well, honestly, I got a little confused on this. I think the jackman they wanted is the one that couldn't be at the track this weekend, so they had a different replacement. I think the one they are going to go with is the one that couldn't be at the track this weekend.
I thought the one that couldn't be at the track was the one that's been there all along.
Okay, honestly, All Sports All Day, help us out, chime in here. And that's why I said of listening through the race yesterday and then the talk today, I don't know if the one they had yesterday is the one they're going with full time now, but a change was needed. I mean, that was one of those of, you talk about execution, great as the team is, there were some issues there and it needed to be addressed. And I think they're making a move to do so now because, again, it was hindering Ryan Blaney. The driver was overcoming it, but, let's get it to where he doesn't have to overcome that and maybe knock down some wins.
Okay, according to Bozzy Tatarevic, Pat Gray will not be available to compete this weekend. Blaney will get Graham Stoddard from the number 4 team of Noah Gragson. It's my understanding that Pat Gray will not be able to compete this weekend, so Blaney is getting another jackman change. Blaney will get Graham Stoddard. Landon Honeycutt stays on the 21 after the swap this morning. So original post, Team Penske has made a change. The team confirmed Patrick Gray will join as the team's new jackman for Sunday's race at Kansas. Gray began the season as jackman on the 21 Woods brother. Okay, there you go. Gray replaces Landon Honeycutt while Honeycutt joins the 21 roster.
But so then Gray is the one that wasn't available. Okay, yeah, I thought that it was that they wanted somebody, but they weren't available this weekend, so they were making a interim change as well, though.
Okay, so there we have the clarification there. Okay, So I'm glad they're making some changes. That we saw a big improvement, I think, this week with Mr. Stoddard. We'll see what comes next week with Mr. Gray when he shows up at the track.
And that's one of those of, yeah, you got it. We were talking about it. You got a good team. You have a win. You're third in points, but can you improve? Yes. So yes, you do need to make some changes. Don't just leave it where it's at. Make that change and make the improvement. Get the team gelling so that they're firing on all 8 cylinders come chase time.
And it's amazing what a difference with that one pit crew member change, what a difference that made, because it did make a difference. And we'll see if it continues into Talladega.
Yeah, I think on the broadcast they gave it, Carson Hocevar was the Ryan Blaney of this week. Had to go to the back several times and pass a bunch of cars. I thought that was kind of cute.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. Okay, we've been talking about or alluding to this all night. What's going on at Trackhouse Racing? The struggles continue for RCR and Team Penske. Another off week led by the number 22 of Joey Logano. What's going on with these guys?
Well, a lot of the callers today were trying to point the finger to it being the engines of ECR, Trackhouse Racing, as well as RCR, obviously having RCR engines. Larry McReynolds was kind of disputing that. I'm not saying that isn't a factor, but I'd have to agree. I think there is more internal leadership, something else, because they're not way out as far as speed. We've seen that a couple of times that RCR especially has showed up. They got the pole for Daytona. So there's got to be more to it. And I wish I had the answer, because I'm sure I could become Richard Childress's best friend. I could be Kyle Busch's #1 fan if I were to be able to come fix their problems.
I will say I saw an interview with Ross Chastain today from Trackhouse, and he was asked a similar question to this, and he said that they are rebuilding. It started last year, and it's continuing this year. They're in rebuilding mode, but at some point, you got to get the ship built. You can't keep building it. I know that they've got that new Chevy nose, a new body on the Chevys this year. Maybe for some of these teams, it's a bigger adjustment again. I don't know. It's just a head scratcher that RFK is doing so well, and it was the exact opposite before. RFK was systemically challenged. Brad Keselowski came in and rebuilt, and they're performing. But these guys are just on the down low.
Well, and Larry McReynolds talked about this as well, and this coming from somebody that worked with that organization. We talked about Kevin Harvick left it. Tyler Reddick left it, and even Austin Dillon has said, hey, me and Grandpa have had some hard-headed discussions. And what we saw with RFK, Jack Roush saying, okay, I'm going to let somebody else come in, take over, and make some decisions and see how it works. And we've seen the resurgence of them. I don't think we're seeing that at RCR. They are changing a crew chief or something here and there, but I think it does need to be an overall, I can't quite say the word systemic. Okay, systemic changes and that's what RCR was saying, that you really do need to come in and maybe clean house, not just make one change here or there, change everything, which Brad Keselowski really did at RFK.
Yeah, that's what he did when he came in there. They started with a clean slate and totally rehauled the system. And I do think it's hard for them to do that. I can see where it can be a very difficult decision to do that. But I don't know. I've heard other reports that say that they're doing everything they possibly can to help Kyle Busch. Denny Ham, well, we're going to get into that. But yeah, it's not that Kyle Busch has forgotten how to drive. It's not that. I will say that. It's not that he is getting to be an older driver, but to see this kind of drastic, and it's happened over a long period of time. I do agree with that. It didn't just happen overnight. This has been happening. He went over to RCR and won 3 races. What happened after that?
And that's where I fail to understand. Yeah.
That was in the next gen cars. So they were in a good place at some point. Is it Kyle Busch steering them the wrong direction? I don't know. I don't think so, but something's wrong somewhere, and you need to take a real hard look at all of that.
You know, that goes back to when we were talking about Tyler Reddick. Do you change anything? Maybe they got the 3 wins and they're like, we can do better, and they changed something that they shouldn't have. Go back and look at, hey, it was working when you first came here. Let's at least go back to the drawing board and start there, get back to at least that.
Yeah, but then your change with the nose comes in there too.
And that's right. That's true. That's true. Again, I wish I had the answer, because I would find RC's number and give him a call if I had the answer.
RCR helped design the next gen. That's true. They got a head start. Then the other teams caught up. Well, that could be what happened too.
That's a great thought. All Sports All Day. You're right. That was I'd forgotten that they were kind of in the mix of helping design the car. So that's a very good thought. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for pointing that out, because I think it's an excellent point. The other teams caught up, and that happens. We see that happen all the time. I think that's what happened with Kevin Harvick. He had something going. And either NASCAR caught it and told him not to do it again, or the other teams caught up and it became an even playing field again.
We'll see if All Sports All Day is a movie buff. You totally redeemed yourself. Tell me which movie that comes from.
Okay, All Sports All Day.
I don't know if he's a movie. We seem to be a similar thought process, so I think he'll come with it. But when we look at Team Penske, they kind of as a team had an off week across the board, but Joey Logano is the one driver on that team that has been just all year some horrible, let's be honest, some horrible races from off the trailer. There too. I don't know what they're trying, but it ain't working. Don't try that no more.
Exactly. And I will say, in general, 1.5 mile tracks are not Team Penske's forte. They've got some work to do when it comes to 1.5 mile tracks.
Right. Well, good thing they're going to Talladega.
Yeah, but for a driver like Joey Logano, it's not just the 1.5 mile tracks. He has not been on par at all this season. And where is he in the points? Points
down towards the cut line. I don't think he was out yet, but he's getting down there.
Joey Logano is 14th. He's inside the top 16, but he moved down 2 spots again this week. He's not moving up; he's moving back.
He was the cut line a couple weeks ago. He had the good run, got back into a better position, but now, as you mentioned, dropped back down. Yeah, I saw him say he's a lost puppy. It was Dumb and Dumber when he traded the shaggin' wagon for the little moped.
Oh, okay.
All right, can't play movie or trivia with All Sports All Day. Got it.
Okay.
Oh well.
But Team Penske, I don't think it's all of Team Penske. Austin Cindric has been moving up. Ryan Blaney is 3rd in the points, even though he moved back 1 spot this week at a 1.5 mile track, which is not his forte. I do think there's something that's not working for Joey Logano this year. And I'm not sure what it is, but he is off his game this year. And maybe it's the fact that everybody caught up with him.
and that may be too. Yeah, that may be too.
But he's got some work to do, not just at the 1.5 mile tracks, but overall. because we're seeing good results from Ryan Blaney. We're seeing some improvement even from Austin Cindric, who started horribly on the season.
All right, Sharon, we've both been holding off. I think All Sports All Day has been as well. We got to talk about it now.
Okay, next up, Hamlin's comments on Kyle Busch. They had a brief on-track encounter, and here's that stat. Hamlin's 36th race to lead the most laps without winning. And the one thing about Hamlin is he likes to keep his name in the discussion. And I think now I know he was asked the question. He said he was simply responding to the question that was asked to him. He tried to answer as honestly and as completely as he could. But Kyle Busch took exception. He said he would trade places any day with Denny Hamlin. He'll race the number 11 and have Denny Hamlin come over and race the number 8 and see how he does. And All Sports All Day says, put me out of my misery.
Right. Well, here's the thing. And to start with, everybody get strapped in, hold on to your hats. I'm going to defend Denny Hamlin.
Up, Buttercup.
I'm going to defend Denny Hamlin to start with. Yes, he's got a podcast. He's going to talk about his opinion. That's his right. Yes. And he was asked the question. And I felt like he gave an honest, objective, and I didn't feel like an attack. I mean, I felt like it was just a honest observation. And he even said it. He hates to see Kyle Busch in this position. In that case, I think Kyle Busch
for him.
Yeah, exactly. I think Kyle Busch responded back to the old days of Kyle Busch of what I found interesting. And I don't know if it's not the only show I listened to today, but most of what I got was from the Larry McReynolds, Danielle Trotta. Why are either one of them engaging in this? Is that going to help you on track? Denny Hamlin don't need to be distracted. He needs to worry about staying up at the top, and we've talked about that before. You're a championship contender. You let other things get in the way. Don't let this get in the way. And it can, because Kyle Busch came back with, I'm going to make your life miserable. And he kind of did, at least a little way on the track, which I think was ridiculous. Again, worry about making your car run better and fixing your problem, not going after somebody that I don't think even really attacked you. He just gave it, because he pointed out this had kind of started already in his latter years at JGR, that he wasn't as dominant in winning like he had been. That goes back to being able to drive the next gen car. So Kyle Busch needs to worry about figuring out how to drive the next gen car, RCR, getting better. Denny Hamlin needs to worry about not finishing second and winning races in the championship. Neither one of you need to be involved in this battle and feud. Yeah, there you go. All Sports All Day gave his perspective.
Bush should have kept his mouth shut, and you took the words right out of my mouth. All Sports
Well,
All
there
Day.
we go. You're part of the club now. Just steal each other's thoughts.
I really think that Bush should have just kept quiet about it, because he's the one that's stirring the pot. He brought the wooden spoon this week, and he stirred the pot in this whole conversation. Because I agree with you, Jay. I think that Denny really tried to give an honest, objective answer. The living hell is, instead of Hamlin blowing by Busch 10 miles per hour faster, he will now have to change lanes to blow by him. Now, on the track this week, they did have that. Kyle Busch made it a little more difficult for Denny Hamlin to get by him after all of that. And he said he could make his life a little more difficult, we'll just say. So I wish Kyle Busch had not said anything when it's all said and done, and that he had just kept silent about it. And then, like you said, he really, of all the things he needs to do right now, he doesn't need to respond to Denny Hamlin. He needs to put his focus on what they need to do to be better on the racetrack. And it's a matter of putting your nose to the grindstone and trying to figure it out. And I think Denny Hamlin is right when it comes to that. He needs to be
Now-
the leader.
Now on the other side, I'm going to defend Kyle Busch a little bit.
Okay.
You know, we know his frustration. We've seen it with some interviews. He's tried to hold back. He knows they're not running where they should be, want to be, whatnot. And I think back to the deal at, I think it was Bristol with Ricky Stenhouse, and they got in their post-race scrum. He said, I suck as bad as you do, you know. So I'm sure that frustrated. He's like, you don't need to tell me. I know how bad we are. I'm trying to, you know, work with the team and whatnot. So I understand where his frustration is coming from. But yes, I think the attempt to slow Denny Hamlin down, which again, he wasn't very good at that because, like he said, Denny Hamlin going to blow by anyway. And yeah, I agree 100% though, Sharon, of don't engage in that. Engage in your team and getting your team better. And that'll shut everybody up.
Exactly. That, and then nobody has that to talk about any longer. So yeah, I kind of wish he hadn't said anything, because it also gave fuel to what Denny Hamlin was saying.
Right.
So that's what everybody's talking about. So you just gave him more to add to the conversation, and it's a conversation that we shouldn't even be having in my mind.
I got one. Are we done with that topic? I don't want to jump off the topic if we're not done.
No, I think we're done. Talladega stage changes to longer first stage and shorter stage 2 and 3. Oh, did you have something else you wanted to say before we move on?
Well, no. This was one way I didn't send in, but I forgot I wanted to. But this one was a good topic. Go ahead and read it there.
Okay. Let's see. Talladega is changing the lengths. Not Talladega, NASCAR is changing the stage lengths. There's going to be a longer first stage, and the last 2 stages are going to be shorter. The purpose is to avoid fuel-saving strategies. And my question is, will it work?
Nope.
Jay?
Nope.
And why are you saying that?
Yeah, here's the thing. Again, this is one where I feel like I understand NASCAR's position. I hate that they're in it, but they're responding to fans' critiques. Okay. But again, you go back to we don't want to see somebody win the championship and not win races. We want them to win and move on. Well, they gave them that. Then they didn't like that. Then they want this. You're not going to win that. Second of all, you change the chase format to prevent Jimmy Johnson from winning. You change the tracks. Jimmy Johnson still won. These teams that are strategizing, we've talked about the engineers and the crew chiefs. It may work this week at this race, but it ain't going to take them very long, and they're going to figure out how to strategize around this change. Now, I thought it was really wild and crazy, but Larry McReynolds, and this was earlier in the week, this wasn't today, he brought up the idea of don't tell them the stage lengths until the driver's meeting. If you really want to take that strategy away from them, they show up at the driver's meeting, they say, hey, stage 1 is this, stage 2 is this. But again, the data they got, they're going to calculate it out real quick while they're walking from the driver's meeting to the car. They're going to have a plan. You're not going to outthink these engineers and crew chiefs. That's what they get paid to do. So it may work this weekend. Again, it's a change. And I get NASCAR trying to make the fans happy, the fuel strategy. I don't think that's the answer. These guys are going to figure it out. It take them 2 races, whatever. They'll have it. You'll have a guy like Frankie Stoddard. He'll make a pit stop before the start finish line and get away with it. You know, I mean, that's what these guys do.
All right. Yeah, I think they just moved the fuel strategy problem to the first stage. So they're going to be doing that game in the first stage, and then we'll see a different race during the last 2 stages. It'll be more of a shootout. All Sports All Day says if they fixed the damn car and allowed guys to pull out of line a bit, we wouldn't have these dang problems.
That's actually exactly what I told the guys that I was talking to today. When you're with this pack racing, and I know it's exciting and we get some wrecks and whatnot, but yeah, that's my problem with pack racing. You created it and now you aren't happy with it. You have somebody with the fastest car in the world by 10, 20 miles an hour they're second or third in line in the 3 lines, they can't go anywhere. They got no control over where they go or how fast they go.
Well, Jay, I'm going to say
he started it. He stirred it. He set me off.
No,
but I agree with it.
I'm just going to say one thing we've learned over the years is that no matter what NASCAR does, somebody is going to have a complaint about it. And NASCAR needs to put all that into perspective when making some of these changes. And I know it's hard. They want to listen to the fans. They want to be responsive to what the fans are saying. And sometimes they make good points. But I think you got to be careful what you ask for. We had tandem racing and everybody wanted to go back to the pack racing. I hated the pack racing. I hated the single line formation. And we're back to that. Now everybody's complaining about the single line and pack racing and all of that. We wanted parity in the sport. We've got parity in the sport. So that's what happens when you have parity in the sport. So it's an unpredictable race. And that's part of the, I guess, mystique of racing at a track like Talladega. But be careful what you ask for, fans, because if you get it, you're going to have a complaint about what you get after you ask for something different. It's a no-win situation with NASCAR, and we've seen it over and over and over again. I wish we would just let things play out a little bit more.
Again, I'm no engineer, but I think there are different ways, and we've seen them work with the tires, the tire fall off. I think that maybe, I'm not saying the horsepower was the complete answer, but I think that may be a factor. Some of the body things, but I'm with All Sports all day. Be able to pull out, and if you have a faster, better car, to be able to pull out, the old slingshot, whatever. You don't have that anymore. And I'm not saying we need to go back to the good old days because, you had 3 cars on the lead lap. I didn't like that either.
That's no good.
And I was one that I certainly, as much as I don't like the people complaining, the single file where everybody just got in line and was willing to ride. I think the stage racing, fixed that. Hey, you got to race for some points. You're not just content to ride in line where you're at. So I think that was a good implementation.
20 laps to get the track position. So
right.
It ends up being a 20-lap shootout.
Yeah. I think there are some things I'm with All Sports all day. I think it's more within the car. Again, it may be horsepower. I'm not saying I don't think that's the full answer of that, but I think that's part of it.
Yeah, and I still think that they just moved the fuel strategy into stage 1.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like I said, they're going to figure out a way around this.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. But track position is never guaranteed either at Talladega or any of the super speedways because so much can happen. You can be running up front and the next thing you know, you're back in 20th because you got pushed back by the other cars.
Before you close with the monologue there, Sharon, I did have I listened to the morning drive. They have the white, black flag, checkered flag. I had one big black flag. I almost sent it to you immediately after the O'Reilly parts race. I am normally not a basher of slow cars or lap cars, but the last few laps of that, and I'm glad I don't remember who the driver was because I'd hate to say his name, but if you got the leaders bearing down on you in the final laps, pick a lane. Let them drive around you. And I'm going to get a little boisterous here, sorry. But whoever it was in the high lane, and that's where they wanted to run. I'm not saying you need to pull out of the high lane, but they then went to the bottom lane to block when the leaders went down. And yeah, there were some radioactive clips there that were valid. That was horrible. Pick your lane. Let the leaders run by you because they will, but you got to pick a lane and stay there.
Yeah, in a course of competition, if you're not in the mix, stay out of the way and let them race. I agree with that.
Yeah, I've never seen a lap car try and block leaders battling for the lead like that before. It was ugly.
Yeah, it was. And I know they're racing. I don't expect them to just, I know they're racing for their own purposes. I get that. But at the end of the race, when I know you want to get your best position as well. And I don't expect anybody to just pull over and because of who's behind you is better I don't know how to put this. I don't believe in just pulling over for the sake of pulling over either.
Right.
I don't think you should
I'm not
expect
saying that.
anybody to just pull over.
But you got to hold your line.
You got to hold your line. Yeah. That's the bottom line of it. Okay.
That's at dirt tracks. They have, it used to be the move over flag. They kind of went away from that. It used to be a blue flag with the yellow stripe meant the leaders were coming, get out of the way, pull down to the bottom, was typically whatever, but they've changed it again. It's just hold your line and the faster cars will drive around you, but you got to hold your line. And whoever that was didn't. Sorry. Like I said, that one hit me Saturday night and it just came back to me. I wanted to get that out. I feel better now. Thank you, Sharon.
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear it. Okay, we've had some comers and goers here. So if anybody else has any other topics you want to make sure we discuss, I suggest you get those in now. I'm going to go through the watch list for this week's watch list. It always starts on Mondays with Hot Topic Sound Off at 8:15 p.m. Central Time here on Fan for Racing Radio. And then on Tuesdays, we normally do interviews. This week, we're going to do the interview late Tuesday night or Wednesday. So watch for that interview to come out a little bit later than usual this week. Then Wednesdays is Race Chat Live Day with Taz Taylor as host now. They've kind of changed their lineup with Chris Crichton and CJ Sports. A part of the conversation. Midweek storylines are covered, as well as a look at the race last weekend at Talladega and the upcoming week last week's race at Kansas and the upcoming week at Talladega. So catch them at 6 o'clock Central Time here on Fan for Racing Radio. Jay and I do the interviews. We'll be doing those Wednesday night, the previews. Those will come out on Thursday and Friday of this week. And normally we have Fantasy Report on Friday morning that we put out on Friday afternoon, evening. The Fantasy Report is going to be on fanforracing.com this week. It's going to be on the website. Unfortunately, I cannot be available on Friday morning. I'm accommodating my granddaughter and Grandparents' Day. And so Taz and I have talked about it, and he's going to put something together that we can post over on the website. Again, fanforracing.com is where you will find the Fantasy Report sometime late Friday or early Saturday morning. So you can check that out. And then is the weekend of racing, and we start all over again on Monday night. So I know Sal was talking about trying to get an interview with Tanner Huddleston, who is the brother of Trevor Huddleston. And Tanner does a lot of design work on the trophies in the ARCA Menards series. So it could be a very interesting interview. Whether or not he was able to get that with Tanner, I'm not sure yet. So stay tuned on whether it'll be Tanner or somebody else.
That sounds like a great one. I hope he is able to.
Okay.
Speaking of Sal, happy birthday to him.
Yes, happy birthday.
A day or two ago.
Happy birthday to you. It was 2 days ago. So we hope that he had a great birthday this weekend. Jay says, join us next week for the conversation and bring your spoon. Anybody who wants to stir the pot a little bit. And all sports
Yeah, we know you got one. Yeah. It ain't in your back pocket. You've been using it all night. Maybe put it away for the night.
I think he's like we've been talking about the strategies in the back pocket. He's got his wooden spoon in his back pocket.
All right. Great night. Great night.
Anything you want to say there, Jay, before I get into the monologue here?
No, I got my black flag out there. Like I said, that one, I didn't know if you had watched the race. So yeah, that was right after I watched that race. I was like, oh, I wanted to shoot it off just to make sure it got on the list. And then I forgot, but my brain kicked in.
Okay. All right. So as we close out our show here tonight, I have a few parting thoughts as we head to the checkered flag here. Kansas wasn't just about who won. It was about how they won. The bad, the good, and the ugly. Gio Ruggiero is rising fast, still growing and evolving. So we're hoping that he learned from the experience this weekend and doesn't let his attitude interfere with his skill on the track. Taylor Gray may have just arrived, showcasing strategy and maturity as a driver in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. That was the good of this weekend. And Tyler Reddick showed he can close when it counts despite some obstacles. He had to overcome a lot of ugliness on the track with 2 overtime restarts, almost running out of gas while he was racing for the win, and quick thinking and switching over to another fuel tank. So we saw the bad, the good, and the ugly across all 3 series. But the bigger conversation is this: execution, strategy with focus and patience continue to prevail over raw speed across every level of NASCAR. And we'll see how that continues to evolve over the season. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to Hot Topic Sound Off. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you again right here on Fan for Racing Radio.
And we'll talk to you soon. Hopefully more engagement next week.
Okay. Thanks again, everybody. Enjoy your race weekend.